Okay, let's diagnose an issue, and let's start right from the beginning. So the title of the issue is that a fillet can't be created. Also, there's an indication that fusion is crashing. So I'll take a look at one of the images, and first thing that I noticed, and actually it would have been better to embed the image. This I can't see what I want to show you now. Let's see if I can zoom in on it here. First thing I notice is red and yellow highlights in the timeline. So I would expect to see issues, and I would expect to see crashing when I see red and yellow highlights in the timeline. I asked the OP, I says, are there any unresolved issues indicated in your timelines? Yellow or red highlighting? No unresolved issues is the response. But there are. There are yellow and red highlighted issues in the timeline. If I go to the timeline, I see multiple yellow highlighted issues in the timeline. And if I drag this down further, I see, even a red highlight. So there are multiple issues going really all the way back to the beginning, And so you should take care of these issues as they occur. So when I'm analyzing a file, the first thing I do is I step through the file one step at a time. So I'll go back to the first step, and I'll turn on Sketch 2. Apparently Sketch 1 was deleted, and I'll edit Sketch 2. And the very first thing that I notice is that it's all blue, indicating that it's not fully constrained. The second thing that I noticed is that there aren't any dimensions, and you need dimensions to make something. You need dimensions. And so I see some white dots here. I see some black dots. I'm going to drag this black dot, and I see that this point wasn't connected to this point. I'll see that there's a line and apparently a spline over top of each other. I'm not sure why you would do that. I see that this line, it looked like it was intended to be vertical, but it doesn't stay vertical. And if I drag this, I see it looked like this is supposed to be horizontal, but it doesn't stay horizontal. I would expect to see major issues if lines that are intended to be horizontal are not constrained to horizontal. Notice that line now turns black. If lines that are intended to be vertical are not constrained to be vertical, and if I don't see dimensions, and I see dimensions like this that it looks like it was intended to be 5 inches is eyeballed in here. If I see dimensions like this, I don't even know what that was supposed to be. Your sketch should be fully defined, and place the origin in a logical location in your sketch. And that's just the first sketch. We see that we follow the same thing as we go through this. And so I don't know what this form feature was all about. It looks like it was started and then it was abandoned. Here's what I would do. I would do one sketch. Then if I can't fully define that sketch, I would immediately stop, and post and ask questions to the Autodesk Fusion 360 forum. I would go to the next step. If I created a form feature but I don't know the purpose of why I did that, I would stop, ask questions. I would go to the next step. I would create a sketch. If the sketch shows me some kind of issue, and by the way, you can right click on that and get some indication of what the issue is, I would stop and ask questions. So I would ask questions at each step along the way until I had learned how to recover from these issues and avoid them altogether.